This is the Lighthouse Keepers Podcast, brought to life by Mary Ellen Sherlock and Anthony Marone, and his WIN Foundation in collaboration with the Joshua Foundation. Our mission is straightforward. In a world often focused on the individual, this podcast seeks to shine a light on the remarkable collective spirit of humanity. We're dedicated to bringing you inspiring conversations with exceptional organizations and individuals devoted to creating a better world. Hello, welcome back to the Lighthouse Keepers Podcast. I'm your host, Mary Ellen Sherlock, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to today's guest. We have Assemblyman Steve Stern, and we have Dave Tracy joining us. Dave is the president and founder of the Three Village Dads Club. And we're here today to talk about the incredible work that Steve Stern has done with veterans. And the fact that, Dave, you are a Marine and a veteran, and proud of it. We're here to talk about some of the wonderful work that you've done, and also to talk about veterans, because I don't think we talk about it enough. I think some of the statistics I'm going to say are pretty astounding. There are 1.3 million people, Americans, that are serving in the armed forces today. 762,000, I think, are on reserves, and everybody else is active duty. But there are 16 million veterans in America today. And that's why I think the work that you've done, Steve, is pretty profound, and a lot of the work that you continue to do in Albany. I don't know if our viewers know this, but of that 16 million, almost 3 million come right here from Nassau and Suffolk County, larger than California, Texas, and Florida. It's really outstanding. So congratulations to you and the work that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Well, Mary Ellen, first of all, thank you for having me. And
Dave,
it's good to be with you. And thank you for your service to our great nation. And you certainly say thank you to all of our dear friend Anthony Marone for bringing us all together today.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud of the work that I've been able to do, both in my capacity as a current New York State Assemblyman. Prior to going up to Albany to represent our community, it was my privilege to serve as Suffolk County legislator for 6 terms. And during those 6 terms, I had the opportunity to serve as chairman of the Veterans Committee for all 12 of those years. And I'm thrilled now to have just been named as the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee in the New York State Assembly.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Yes,
Love to hear that.
And so while I appreciate the leadership position, certainly I'm much more excited about the tremendous work that we've been able to do for our veterans and their families during all of that time. When it has come to job training for our returning veterans, making sure that housing opportunities are available, and certainly when it comes to too many of our veterans that are facing challenges when they come home, so often after numerous tours overseas, dealing with the challenges of PTSD, TBI, and the unacceptably high rate of veteran suicide. And so these are priorities for me and for members of my committee and for all of my colleagues at every level of government. We understand very well that here in Suffolk County, which is home to the largest number of veterans in all of New York State, which is something that we're all very, very proud of. But too many of our veterans, our families, our loved ones, our neighbors, leaders within our community, many times need our assistance as their families do as well. And so these are the priorities that I bring with me up to Albany, and we're very proud of the record that we've been able to implement here, in many cases, not just making critically important impact for so many, but serving as a model for the rest of the state and even the rest of the nation.
Exactly. Speaking of serving as a model, our good friend Dave is back here. Dave, you actually did a couple of tours when you were in the Marines, is that right?
I did, yes.
Yeah. And I think some of the stuff that Steve has spoken about, you've lived that. And you know some of your compatriots that were there, and everything that he is fighting for veterans, you can see now. We're not talking about, although I will say this, the statistics actually said the largest amount of veterans was from the Vietnam War. But there's a significant amount of people that in the tours that that this is exactly why, this support is needed. You want to give any color on that, just in your specific?
Sure, yeah. So, the term veteran really stretches over decades. You know, I would say, you know, we like to think of a veteran as one kind of person, but I mean, really, we're talking the end of the World War II era veterans that are sadly, you know, phasing out in the veteran kind of sphere. The Vietnam guys, Korean guys, you know, and then there's a few little conflicts, and then there's the Iraq and the Afghanistan. Different generations brought up, raised differently in different eras, different technologies. So while we all fall under the same umbrella as the term veteran, each has their own, I guess, needs and things that we should kind of focus on and how to help. You know, it's not always one thing fixes all. You know, sometimes there's different things that need to be addressed. But yeah, no. I'm the quartermaster of my VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, in Setauket. And we have a wide range of veterans. We have our Vietnam veterans. We sadly just lost our last World War II veteran not too long ago. But our Vietnam veterans are the aging and an older community now. So their needs are focused more on the medical care or the elder care. Whereas my generation, we're not there yet. So we have kind of different needs for housing and tax breaks and educational you know, benefits. So the term veteran really kind of runs the gamut, but yeah, no. So it's great what Assemblyman Stern has done here, and I've seen direct, you know, I've seen direct benefits from that. It is nice to live in Suffolk and have tax breaks, you know, on my home for having served. As we've said, it's not why I joined, it's not why I did it, but it is certainly nice to be recognized in that way.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that most veterans, whatever their age is, are aware of the benefits that in other words, you mentioned, you know, some of us are like, listen, we're good, you know, I came back and I have a good job and I have a home and a wife and family, and are they looking for those? How do you let people know the types of benefits? I'll just speak about my father-in-law. He was a veteran, and he was like, I didn't know that I'm able to get like my hearing aids through. And do people actually know, or is that like, how would they find out about that?
I think Dave would probably agree that that when working with our veterans and their families, perhaps the greatest challenge isn't the substance. It's not that the services are not there. It's that there isn't nearly enough awareness within the veterans community. And so as often as we try, as hard as we try to get the word out, to get the information out there, it continues to be a tremendous challenge. And that's not just a challenge here locally, but across the country. And it's been that way for far too long. Yeah. So that's why, Mary Ellen, what you're doing here today is so critically important, because if we have the opportunity to share information and it gets out to just a couple of viewers, we've made a difference today. Yes. Dave spends a great deal of his very valuable time reaching out to thousands of members of his community, and that message goes far beyond just those that he's in touch with on a daily basis. Right. That's exactly the kind of effort that this subject matter desperately needs. Right. It's not enough we can have world-class services in Suffolk County and New York State for our veterans, which we do, which we should all be very, very proud of. But unless they're utilized to the fullest, we're not nearly accomplishing the mission that we all share. So that, I find, is perhaps the greatest challenge. We work with so many professionals in so many different spaces to provide necessary services. Yes. And again, as I mentioned before, many of those services that were created right here in Suffolk County that serve as a model for New York State are also in many ways the model for the rest of the nation, but we don't go nearly far enough unless they're utilized. Is that, I don't mean to be glib, I'm just know the people of my dad's generation, sometimes it's a sense of pride. I'm good. You know, there's part about being a serviceman and serving your country. You have tremendous pride in what you're doing, and there's great honor in that. Does that also the same honor and pride that may prohibit people or impede them a little bit from reaching out and accepting that aid? Would you?
Absolutely, yeah.
You do?
I would say pride in that, you know, there's certain generations that have raised to you know, look, I want to say look down on, but, you know, say, oh, handout, I don't need a handout. You know, I can do this on my own. And so there is a stigma there about accepting help and, you know, utilizing services that may, I guess, in your social circles make you look weak or vulnerable. So yes, there can be a stigma there for sure. But as the Assemblyman was saying, getting the word out is really the key, because if they don't know about it, they don't know that they can benefit from it. And being on Facebook and being on a social media platform, yes, I have the ability to reach out to a few thousand members, but that's just such a small slice, and that's only on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram following or anything to that extent. So, and again, the older generations, they're not really on the social media platform. So again, so each kind of generation of veteran has its own needs and their own ways of kind of going about things. I know just in my veterans post, the older generation still look forward to postcards in the mail or phone calls that there's a meeting next week. We don't do those things anymore. We send out emails and social media blasts. So it's kind of tough balancing that. But places like our veteran posts, American Legions and other veteran organizations, or the VA hospital, those are places where we can, focus on getting that information out, and it does. And when it comes into us, as an organization, we try to put it out to our members. But again, getting the word out is probably one of the bigger things. And then if they take advantage of it, and then they talk to each other that they're doing it, it actually welcomes more to take advantage of, and they don't seem like they're the only one that's accepting help or assistance. So
I have to tell you a funny story. My dad is 93, and he served in the Army, and he wears the First Armory Division hat, and wonderful. I really have to tell you, I'm really so pleased the number of people who stop him and say, "Mr. Sherlock, thank you for your service." And he's so like, thank you for acknowledging that. So that, I think that means a lot. And then my dad, God forbid you find he's get in a gaggle of men and they start talking, and for him it is a bonding experience. I don't know if you feel the same way, but the acknowledgement that he served. I think sometimes, the parades that we take our kids to, and everybody's got the flags from Stop and Shop. But I think it means a lot when people march in parades that acknowledge those things. Do we do more? I mean, how do we?
Well, I'll share with you something that we just did a couple of days ago. And so all of our veterans will understand that we come together as a community certain days of the year, and we show up at the parades and we wave the flag, and we thank our veterans and their families for their tremendous service to our great nation. But there is a group that deserves not just great thanks, but much more than that, and that is our Vietnam era veterans. So just a couple of days ago, I hosted a welcome for veterans throughout New York State. And I was the sponsor of the resolution that I introduced and we passed unanimously, of course, honoring our Vietnam veterans on the anniversary of the 50th year of the end of the Vietnam War. And it was an opportunity to not only welcome our veterans, not only an opportunity to say thank you, but most importantly for the Vietnam era heroes, a way to say welcome home.
Right.
Because too many of our veterans will share their stories today, years and years later, about how they were not so welcome coming home. We would hear stories about how as soon as the military plane landed, they would go into the bathroom real quick and change into civilian clothes so they wouldn't be identified as a veteran coming back to our country. And that's devastating.
It's devastating.
Devastating, and something that I like to believe, and I think we've all experienced firsthand, that thankfully our veterans receive the recognition that they certainly have earned and deserve, that those days are long gone, which is something we should all be very proud of.
Yes.
But certainly for our Vietnam era, and Dave points out that they are now of advanced age and have a whole list of new challenges that they face, that we all have a responsibility to help them and their families step up to meet. Right. But certainly recognition is important, and to continue to send that message to say thank you. And I think most importantly, not just for our veterans of all eras, but how we act and how we support them and their families sends a critically important message for our next generation down. And that these are men and women that not only show us what it's like to be leaders, not just what it's like to serve our great nation, but perhaps most importantly, what it means to be an American.
Yes, that's a great point. I have to tell you something. I know this came up when, excuse me, the two of us or three of us were doing the pre-interview. And I mentioned the number one book last year in 2024 was a book by Kristen Hanna, and it was called The Women. And the book is actually about a woman that goes into the Vietnam War to serve as a nurse. And her parents are embarrassed. Her friends don't want to know her. It's the number one book. And when I think of my children and my nieces and nephews that read this book, they're of the age where they had no idea, to your point, Steve, that these Vietnam vets were coming back and were not well received by their own country. And so I think that is pretty devastating. I think she used a storybook to educate the difficulty. It's the number one book. And I think that's an important thing for people to recognize today. Dave, you also said something which I can't let this interview end without making sure that we bring this up. We were talking a lot about, the fact that what do we want this discussion to be about? And it's obviously, Steve, your great work up in Albany and continuing to do amazing things for the veterans. But also we talked about, Dave, your service. And you said, Mary Ellen, nobody, I think you said, I didn't join the service for a president. I went into service for my country. And I think that's what most of the people that you are advocating for in Albany, that's exactly why they did it, for their country.
Absolutely.
So to know that they went, and their families are also part of their service, their children. Any of us who've watched any of those Instagram posts where the dad comes behind, right there for the college graduation, high school graduation. I mean, it is lump in the throat moment. It just goes to show it really is a full family sacrifice and dedication. Thank you both for being on the show today. Thank you both for the work that you're doing for veterans, for our country. Really appreciate it. Lighthouse Podcast is just thrilled to help get this message out. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully we'll see more of these fine gentlemen in the future. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Remember that lighthouses symbolize hope. With hope, we persevere and inspire positive change. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep shining your light.